This is a tutorial on how to create a simple maze game in Flash CS4. And for this tutorial, we're going to really start to do some interesting things with the code, which I'll show you in a few minutes. The first thing though that we need to do, you can notice that I've already created a circle and I've called it ball, but it's basically going to be the character. And it is a symbol. You can see it in the library. And now I'm going to create a rectangle which is going to become my wall. So I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to convert to symbol. Now here's where I'm going to do something interesting. You will probably see this by default. I'm going to call this thing wall. And then I'm going to click the advanced button and I'm going to export for ActionScript, and the class is going to be called wall, which it should do automatically. And then click OK. OK. And now you'll notice over in the library that the wall symbol is slightly different. It has this link under the linkage column. It has export wall. And what that does is that exports a class file that we can then reference. So now I have this wall on the screen. I'm going to move it into position and I'm going to transform it. If I hit the Alt key, and I'm not sure if that's the same in Windows, but it'll be Alt or Control, one of those keys. I can stretch it, and then I'm going to drag another one on. Why don't I rotate it? And I'll just make a very, very basic outline. What we're attempting to do is we're going to make it so that when you click on the ball follows the mouse, and if you hit a wall, the ball gets moved back to roughly its beginning position, which I think in my code is putting it roughly over here. So now let's have a look at the code. Here's where the real interesting stuff begins. And before I do that, I want to give a plug to Jody Hall at Flash Connection, theflashconnection.com. He really helped me with some of this code to make it more efficient and make it easier to work with. So if you have some time, go over to his website and check out his tutorials. They're really good. Alright, let's have a look at the code. So the first two lines, these we've already seen something very similar to. This is a common thing that I've done over and over again. The ball is going to go to the ball click handler, and the game loop is just the loop that's going to repeat over and over again. So let's go look at the ball click handler. First though, let's look at follow. Follow is a boolean which is equal to false. What follow is going to do is if follow is true, then the ball is following the mouse. So if we go down here to the ball click handler, all we're saying is if we click the ball, then follow becomes true. The next thing we're going to look at is, let's look at move ball, these couple lines of code, and then we'll look at the end of move ball. But these few lines of code are the follow. So what we're saying is if follow is true, then ball.x is equal to the mouse x, and ball.y is equal to mouse y. So we're basically making the ball the same as the mouse. The game loop, all that the game loop is doing is calling upon move ball. So that one's fairly easy. And then this one at the top, this is where it gets interesting. We are creating an array called walls array. What walls array is going to do is it's going to hold all of the walls on the screen. And then we're calling a function that I've called create array. This is just a function that I made. So create array is void. We have a for loop. What a for loop does is it starts at this first definition. So I is 0. So it starts at 0. This for loop is going to repeat as long as I is less than the number of children on the stage, this being the stage. The number of children are anything that appears on the stage, essentially. You can think of it that way. And then I++ is just incrementing I, so it's making I one bigger every time the loop repeats. The next thing I'm doing is I'm saying if this getChild at I, so it's getting the child, so in this case, potentially the wall or the ball, is wall, so if the child is a wall, then the walls array we're going to push, so we're going to put the child into the walls array. Basically what we're doing is we're creating a list of all of the walls on the stage. So it doesn't matter how many walls you draw, we'll be able to access all of them from this array. And an array is simply, you can think of a single dimensional array like this one as simply like a row in a spreadsheet. So it's holding multiple copies of the same type of thing. So multiple instances of the same type of thing. Now we're going to use this down in MoveBall, so let's look closer at MoveBall. In MoveBall we have a for loop that's very similar to the one above. This loop is repeating as long as I is less than wallsArray.length. WallsArray.length returns however many elements exist in the walls array. And then we're doing a hit test. So we're doing a hit test if the ball has hit whatever is in walls array at I. So we're essentially what we're doing is we're checking each of the walls to see if the ball has hit the wall. If the ball has hit the wall, then we're making follow false and we're moving the ball back to its starting position. And this position might be different depending on where you put the ball in your maze. So you'll have to adjust that adjust these two numbers according to your own maze. So now if I run this, when I click on the ball follows. When I hit a wall, the ball goes back to the start. So what I'd like you to do at this point is I want you to make your own maze, and in addition to what I have done, I want you to add in a finish. So when the player gets the ball over to the finish, wherever that is, something happens. So maybe you win on the screen or something like that. Fireworks, whatever you want to do. This has been making a maze in ActionScript 3 in Flash CS4. Thanks for watching.